Oh, here it goes. Welcome back to Season 2 of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. We have made it all the way through the Season 1 episodes and are embarking on a new, wonderful world here. My name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron. Welcome, everybody, to Season 2. We're super excited you're here. We're glad you made it through some of the dips and valleys of Season 1. Season 2 has a lot of promise.
Absolutely, with this first episode, parental guidance. So that's a play on words there. It's not just parental, it's a pair that's renting.
Very nice catch, Adam. Thanks for the explanation.
Thank you. If you want to hear more about our podcast, go to Kenan and Kel podcast at gmail.com. All right, bye, everyone.
Is that it? All right. That was good.
Yeah, so to kick off the show properly, why don't you give us your Dan Carlin-style intro?
I would be happy to, and let me just say I'm glad that these intros have made it all the way to Season 2, though sometimes they lack the Dan Carlin, and are I'm sure some people don't like them, but I like writing them, and they give me a lot of good ideas. So,
if you are opposed to the intro, let us know. KenanandKelPodcast at gmail.com. But until then, take it away.
Before a tiny virus swept across the globe and prevented us from interacting face-to-face, people used to get together for meetings. There were meetings about finances, meetings about the state of organizations, parent-teacher conferences, lunch with colleagues to discuss business plans, and so on. However, coupled with the eruption of technologies like Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, WhatsApp, and so on, the pandemic gravely changed how people met. Now, traveling to an office or a school to chat isn't only obsolete, but dangerous, putting everybody you love at risk. It would be much better and incredibly cheaper to meet online. And so we live in a world that's becoming more virtual by the day. Distance learning has all but changed education for the foreseeable future, and many large companies won't be returning to their commercial real estate offices downtown. The world we know has fundamentally changed. But within us is still that longing for human connection, for meeting face-to-face with a colleague, shaking their hand, looking them in the eyes, and telling them about all the good things that have been happening recently. It's something we miss. It's why people are still going out to restaurants and bars. It's why schools are having virtual back-to-school nights instead of abandoning it altogether. Parents want to look their students' teachers in the eyes and see what kind of person they are, to see what they're made of. We need connection. We need fellowship. We need dinner parties and parent-teacher conferences to make our society work. Unfortunately for a not-so-confident Kenan Rockmore, when his principal calls and asks to meet his parents and he knows this can only mean one thing: unbridled punishment. He tries to pull a fast one in the way that only a 90s kid can imagine. A fast one that not only ends in frustration, but humiliation. Yes, it's safe to say that Kenan and his parents could have benefited from a good old-fashioned Zoom call.
So starting off the episode, do you know there's immediately many things I picked up on.
Oh yeah,
that are different this season.
To start, Kenan looks older for sure, and his hair is much shorter.
He's got very short dreadlocks now, and he is greater in stature.
Yeah, he's taller for sure.
And I think somehow in contrast to that, Kel's a little thinner.
Kel did look a little thinner. It looked like he grew too fast.
He's got a very kind of scarecrow. He's very tall and lanky.
He's all skin and bones right now.
Another thing I caught was that did you see that spotlight when the episode opened?
I don't know.
Instead of just a regular flat spotlight on it, on the stage is the Kenan and Kel logo as a spotlight.
You know, you're right about that. Nice catch.
Yeah, it's they went into the season with the logo in hand. Like they already had it, so they
Right.
and apparently the first season did so well that they had the budget to start springing for fun stuff like that.
I noticed a little more budget in this episode. Did you?
The like camera quality seemed a little better.
Yeah. It seemed that like everything was a little more polished.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And-
Adam, listen.
yeah.
Listen. When this podcast is so big that we have our own live show at a stadium or a studio, we will have our logo in flashing lights on the stage as we enter.
That sounds difficult, but
Sorry, I'm super hopeful and optimistic.
as you should be. Now comes the part of the episode where we talk about what they're wearing.
Yep. So, like you said, Kenan got taller in stature, and he also got bigger clothes, as if that was possible.
They seem enormous.
I'm looking at him right now. He's got these like probably size like 50 jeans on, and they're so big. So the the bottom whatever seam of the jean, like it's resting on his shoes, and then the overlap on both sides is touching the ground as well, like where the shoes are.
And yeah, it's also like it's not every color under the sun, but it's blue, yellow. It's like a polo, but it's also a vest. Mm-hmm. It's got like white and black on like the seams. It's real.
We love it though. It's like classy but colorful.
I know some really out there outfit. For some reason, I thought the 90s would like end by the time the show ends in the 90s, but their outfits get more and more ridiculous. Apparently,
they carry on the 90s theme. And Kel, he's wearing his what did we call that hat? The Irishmen wear.
You named it last time. I didn't know what it was
think
called.
I gave a few names for them.
And his pants are something like phenomenal. They're like these like leather tarp pants. I don't know.
It's exactly what they are, with a seam.
I have no idea what
inside.
material that is.
No, I don't know if that made it to the 21st century.
I don't know if it's artificial, if it's leather, or what is it?
You might find those at a thrift store somewhere. Just hidden, donated many times over.
As like a reusable trash bag or something.
Sorry, we love you, Kel, but those pants, they gotta be sweaty. Like, you gotta get hot when you're wearing those.
They can't breathe. It's impossible.
Not a chance.
Not his craziest outfit of the episode, though.
No, not at all. All right, so it's not just Kenan and Kel that are a little bit older and a little bit taller, but we actually have a new Kel. Kel wants to reinvent himself.
Yes. He has got some ideas for his new character on this upcoming season. His first idea involves being half human, half robot, and half kangaroo.
Kenan, reminds him that you can't have three halves of something. He says, "What are you, ignorant?" Which
I don't know if that's a word.
It's not a word. It says Microsoft Word.
Yeah, it might be like. I guess it's a funnier way of saying ignorance.
It has to be some kind of slang. Maybe that was like one of those slang blips that showed up in 1997 and then just went away.
Just 1997, yeah. So what's Kel's second new identity idea?
A crime-fighting monkey trainer.
Yeah, the dance that he does for this is amazing. Which he like throws some like karate punches, then he does like a monkey like jig, and it's amazing.
Yep. And Kenan says, "Well, hold on a minute."
He reminds Kel that he's scared of crime and monkeys.
Yes. He reminds Kel he's terrified of both.
Yeah, I don't think being scared of crime's a big deal. I think most people are afraid of crime.
I mean, I think most people should be afraid of monkeys. They're pretty scary. I mean,
They get scary as strong.
they're terrifying. So anyways, Kenan walks backstage and then walks up with a chimpanzee wearing boxers.
Yep, and not just any boxers, some 90s boxers.
They look like Hawaiian, like funky Hawaiian boxers.
Yeah, and so to prove that he's not afraid, Kel pets the monkey, and he does so by only using a single finger.
And then Kenan basically makes Kel hold the monkey, so he throws the monkey on Kel. And so now the monkey is holding on to Kel. His arms are around his neck, his feet are on his torso, and then Kel's arms are both out to the side because he doesn't want to touch it. And he's just kind of hanging out there.
Yeah. He says that he's just acting, and Kenan says that save the acting for tonight's show because you're going to need it. Which, semi-relevant to the show, not really relevant to Kel.
No, not really relevant to Kel, because we're still trying to figure out and parse out whether Kenan and Kel are in character in these intros or if they're in a different world.
The dynamic has finally shifted. Kenan knows a few more things than Kel now.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, now he knows what the episode's going to be before Kel even does. So.
Yep, Kenan has that. What are they called? Dramatic suspense.
Oh yeah.
Something like that, where the audience, Kenan knows something that Kel doesn't. Yeah, so. Anyways, so we basically, a very flustered Kel runs off stage and the curtain opens to reveal the Rockmore's beautiful living room with their gorgeous family.
And a new addition to the living room, if you've noticed.
Is it a bigger TV?
There's a door and a wall between the... So going back over season 1, I realized that this was not a season 1 occurrence. This happened starting at season 2.
Oh, okay.
That divider goes up, and suddenly they had some renovations in between seasons here.
Yep, it's a good addition, and it makes sense, and good continuity here. So, anyways, Cheryl is sitting down, looks like she's reading a magazine. Roger is sprawled out across the couch with his head in Cheryl's lap and his feet with loafers on hanging over the edge of the couch. And then Kyra is at the coffee table doing some math homework.
Yep, and she needs help with a math problem. Asks Roger for help, and Roger says, "Let's watch TV."
Good, Roger. Yeah.
Thanks.
I don't know if it's actually math, so I just. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, so it was good opening banter. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, we don't see too much of the Rockmores this episode. Ironically, it's definitely a Kyra episode. She's back. She's back in business after being in like half of last season.
Yeah, thanks for that trick question at the season 1 recap there, Adam.
Yeah, well, she's now back for now, and we actually see a new occurrence too. Kenan and Kel enter through the front door, and what was Kenan off doing?
Well, they were both playing basketball.
Yeah, an actual sport. We were speculating about Kenan's room and how he's got all these like sports trophies and stuff like that, but we never see him do anything.
Right? Yeah, they're definitely basketball players, or they at least like were playing pickup at the park.
Yeah, it was funny because Kenan says he starts off and says to Kel, "How do we lose to those guys?" And Kel says, "They had more points."
Yeah. little Captain Obvious there. Anyways, Kenan goes to go get some beverages from the kitchen, and Kel starts dribbling the ball, showing the Rockmores his skills. And Mrs. Rockmore is not very happy about Kel dribbling the ball in her house.
She says, "What do you think you're doing dribbling the ball in my house like that?"
Right.
To which Kel says, "Oh, you're right. I usually use my left hand."
So then he's doing it with his left hand.
Yeah.
And then Kenan basically has to tell him to stop.
He does. Kel throws the ball aside, breaks something. And what I thought was very impressive, Kenan lobs a Gatorade across the whole set to Kel.
Yeah, and he caught it.
Yeah, seemed very natural.
Very athletic of them.
Roger and Cheryl tell the kids that they have a plan on Saturday.
Cheryl or Cheryl?
Cheryl.
We gotta get this right.
It's only been 2 seasons, Aaron.
No, I mean her name is very important in this episode.
Oh, it is. You're right. It's Cheryl. What's Cheryl say that they're doing?
They're gonna go play cards with the Snyders.
If you recall, I think back in like the Hemingway episode, early in season 1, they mentioned the Snyders being a family that they do stuff with.
Not to be confused with Dan Schneider.
Well, or to be confused with Dan Schneider, because that's probably where the writers got the name from.
I'm sure it is. Whenever they need a name filler, they just kind of put like a blank space, and then they're just like, let's see, Snyder. Perfect.
Well, it'd be crazy is that we learned that Angus from last season is Angus Snyder.
Oh, no. Why would they play cards with him?
Yeah, it's one of those
things. The
things
worst character in Kenan and Kel, next to the talk show host.
The president's also on the bad list.
Oh no, I forgot. He is by far the worst.
Kenan's upset with this because he watched Kyra last weekend, and that's a real teen struggle. I don't think you've experienced this, but having to stay home and watch your younger siblings ain't fun.
Yeah, I never had any younger siblings, so I did not experience this.
I also never think I had to go out at an age when you had to watch you.
Right.
So
It's moot point here.
Yeah.
Anyways, Kel asks the Rockmores.
can't the boy live his life?
Yeah, and then there's just basically a little back and forth, and the Rockmores go upstairs, and or they're making their way upstairs, and Kyra's making her way upstairs too, and she kisses Kel on the cheek. So we have this Kyra-Kel dynamic right back in the action.
It's definitely those fans that fires flamed throughout this episode. It doesn't get anywhere.
No.
And I kind of wish Kyra had a couple more things going for her than just liking Kel. That's kind of her one personality trait.
Yeah, I wish she did dance or had something that wrapped into her character, but that's okay.
So the phone rings, and Kel is the one to answer it, which is a really just great little moment. Because he answers it and he immediately goes, yes.
It's not even his house.
No. I think Kel shines in the beginning of this episode. It kind of takes a back seat through a lot of the rest of it.
I agree with that. We have pretty genuine Kel here.
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of hitting his stride. He's making all the good quick jokes, and
This is fully realized Kel.
fully realized, yes.
Yeah. They've got through the first season. They digested Kel, and they know what he is all about. Who is on the phone calling up the Rockmore household?
It is the... Sorry. I don't know what adjective I was about to use. It is the forceful and powerful... It is the great and powerful Miss Dimley.
Yeah. She's got some real, Umbridge energy.
Umbridge is good. She's definitely got a pantsuit on, and with a ascot.
I don't know about you, but she definitely has a vibe from our grade school growing up.
Yes.
Yes. Just cut from that same cloth.
Certain and in charge, older woman who has been in education for a long time.
Yes. And Kenan is very distraught and afraid to learn that the principal is calling his house.
Yes, and we find out that Miss Dimley is, in fact, the principal. And she asks that Kenan and his parents come to her office on Friday.
At 1 p.m. Right in the middle of the school day. I don't know what the plan is there.
When I was first watching it, I thought she said Friday night, and I'm like, this is not real.
I heard Friday at 1, which is I just Kenan's in class, and his parents are probably both at work.
Right.
Right?
Right.
At least his dad is.
Right. Nowadays, you can just send an email, but that was fringe back then.
Yeah, well, the other thing that she said that Kenan asks is, let's see, is this really necessary? And she's like, yes, it is really necessary. Mm-hmm. Both your parents have to be here.
So, of course, Kenan thinks he did something wrong, so he says his parents are going to kill him.
And Kel jokingly suggests that, well, if we... the principal doesn't know your parents. What if you just hired a couple actors to play your parents? That way that you won't get any trouble.
And you can see the light bulb go off in Kenan's eyes. And he says...
that sounds painful.
Kel, you're a genius, is what he says.
Kel, elated that he's been called a genius, runs to the door to tell his mother and crashes into it.
It's a really good back and forth. I think overall this opening scene knocked it out of the park. Really good setup, really good, like I said, banter.
It's the whole episode in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's good. It's funny, and you can see where the conflict is arising, and you can see a ridiculous idea, and all, of course, this problem would be solved instantly if they just told the truth.
No lying and deceits. That always works out for us.
That's right, kids.
That's how they won the bagging contest.
That's how they won the bagging contest. You're right, and this is the lesson we're teaching the kids. Anyways, let's fast forward to the next scene. Let's keep going.
Yeah, we're in Rigby's, and Kenan is taking out his frustration on a giant crate of what's Chris call them?
Bananas.
Bananas. Which I think that's wrong. I think so. I believe in the Hemingway episode, he makes the sign 3 bananas for $1. And he says bananas back then, but suddenly he's a little more whimsical and magical, and he calls them bananas.
Hey, Chris, what that sign say? 3 octopuses for $1?
Hey, 3 bananas for $1.
Why I look like octopus?
No, it doesn't!
Yeah, he's playing like Gandalf of Rigby's.
Well, it's like in the first episode of season 1, he had a twitch that went away.
Yep.
So in the first episode of season 2, he now calls them bananas.
I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that Chris definitely pronounces some words very strangely and says just some funny things. Like in this back. So anyways, let's like set the scene. So Kenan is like looking at the audience, right? He's in like kind of the side of Rigby's, and there's a crate filled with probably 100 bananas, and they're all peeled. He is taking bananas out of the box, peeling them, and putting them in the box. And he is displaying, this is like displaying how distressed he is that the principal called his parents in.
Yeah, he's trying to think about what it was that he did. And he has 2 theories. The first one being did you learn about the pigeons? And do you know what the second one is?
Exploding sandwich.
Yes. Which I'm curious what that was.
Sounds like Kenan was a rock star in high school.
Yeah, he had a bunch of pranks that went on. But yeah, no. So by my count, at least on the top layer, there are 36 bananas.
You counted those.
That have been. It's property damage done to Rigby.
I am befuddled.
We even know what they cost. 3 bananas for $1.
Using the sign from another episode. Nice work, Adam. Very nice work.
Chris calls him out, and what's Kenan's response to that?
He's like, "Oh, sorry. I don't know why I did this. Let me put it back together." So he grabs a staple gun and tries to staple them together.
He says, and like he gets kind of crazed when he's stapling them. He says, like, "I can fix this. I can achieve, Chris."
Yeah. I got that. That was a great line.
That's my favorite line of the episode from Kenan.
Yeah, and then Chris is like, "You can't try to staple bananas. What are you, screwy?" And you could tell it was a line written to be laughed at, but nobody really laughed.
Chris he has like a slow build this episode. This first scene, he's kind of but later on, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
It's a great reveal. So Kel arrives in what I can only describe as an outfit that would make Uncle Sam blush.
Well done. Well, good analysis there. Kel's wearing a fedora. It looks like it's a bucket hat.
It's like a fisherman hat.
It's a bucket hat. Sorry, I got a bad look. Yeah, it's a navy bucket hat with a red, like, inch-long strip that goes all the way across a line. And then the rest is red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue in this crazy, like, outfit that... If I saw that nowadays, I'm like, oh, you're wearing a costume.
Not gonna lie, I would totally wear that.
It's pretty neat.
I would wear it. Anyways, so Kel comes in with... there's these 2 people behind him, and it looks like a younger and almost more like appealing Rockmore couple.
Yeah, Kel has been gathering couples that could pose as Kenan's parents. And yeah, this first one, they look very promising.
So Kenan's, he goes behind the counter and he's basically going to like judge them based on, their appearance and what they bring to the table. And so the first couple, Kenan asks them a question and they respond in French.
French and Spanish.
Oh,
I believe.
Oh God.
I never learned French in school, but the phrase that they said were so simple that I was able to break it down. The man says, "Je suis bicyclette," which means I am bicycle. and the lady says, "Je suis omelette du fromage," which of course is I am omelet with cheese. And then she says, "No habla inglés."
Oh my God. That's like the classic, like...
Yeah, Spanish for I don't speak English.
Okay, well, anyways, Kenan is frustrated that Kel would waste his time with people who don't even speak English, because the principal, of course, speaks English. So he basically tells them to go and hopes that Kel has others, which he does.
Yes, he does. What's the name of the next group? that he brings in?
The Yamakawas.
Yep, it's an Asian couple. Which, for the off-color like Asian jokes of last season, like this is sound. This flies today.
Yeah.
Like this is a good joke.
It's funny.
Yeah. So and Kenan immediately points out why this is a bad match.
They didn't even make it through the door.
No.
Okay, next we have a black couple who walks in, and they're both wearing like trench coats, and they seem like they could be a good match.
Yes. Kenan wants to see more options, but this is it.
So Kenan approaches the couple, and he pats the man on the chest and says that he's firm.
They kind of give their resumes in a way. He's got a lot of accolades, and she does not.
Yeah, so he trained in an acting community and blah blah blah.
You mean the La Soul Apostle Acting Academy?
That's the one.
Yeah. And she's seen a lot of movies, and she knows she can do it.
Yep. He declares himself as William Buckman III, and her name is Martha. And she asks, "Which of your parents will I be playing?"
Which is the first red flag about Martha's kind of intelligence.
Yes. Good way of putting it.
Kenan, because the last one's left, he makes them an offer to play his parents for $35 apiece.
And Martha is thrilled, and William Buckman III is not thrilled, so he kind of makes a little fuss. And then Kenan ups to $36, which is more than enough for him.
Yeah. Did you notice the item that he has in his hands?
Is it like a briefcase?
It's like a portfolio, and I think he's got like headshots in there. Like he's just full actor. Yeah.
Actor roaming the streets of Chicago in a suit.
So Kenan goes on to describe his parents. That his dad is a big, mean, and bald. And
I think that's actually that was Kel who described that.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then Kenan's like, no, stop it, like whatever, they'll be fine. So Martha asks if she can use an accent, and Kenan's like, no, and then she tries out a couple, and it's just not good. Kenan's like, no, please don't do that.
A second red flag, yes.
Yep.
He instructs her to say nothing, for not the first time. And what I thought was a really great repair of what happened in the Merry Christmas Kenan. Kenan gives them the address for where they're supposed to go.
Yes, we really missed that in Merry Christmas Kenan. We were all wondering. But anyways, so they have the address, they know the time, 1 o'clock on Friday, and then they exit. Kenan,
We'll see you tomorrow, son.
Kenan turns to Kel and says, Kel, you're a genius.
And yeah, Chris hears this from the as he emerges from the back room, and he's like, now I know something's wrong.
Yeah, so Chris is very suspicious of Kenan's behavior, because who would ever say that Kel is a genius?
Cut to the next day. It's Friday. Kenan's presumably in school, and his parents arrive. His parents arrive.
Yes. And he's explaining to them, to the father, he's like giving the father his cues, if she says I did something wrong, make sure to punish me, like no TV for a week. And then before he gets over to Martha, he gets cut off by the principal.
Yes. Principal dimly arrives. I like her little nod to Kel, and Kel gives like a peace sign. It's like, clearly she's had some friction with Kenan, and she knows that Kel's usually a close trailing behind.
Definitely. They are no stranger to her office. It seems, at least. So the Rockmores begin to introduce themselves. Roger and Kenan's father, he makes sure, he says. And then Martha, when it's her turn, she says...
What's my name again?
Yeah. And then...
So, this is the rest of the episode. I think it's worth saying.
Yes. There will be many confusing moments, many miscommunications between Martha and reality.
I just want to say that if I was a kid watching this, and I'd never seen the show before, and I turned on the TV and I saw this scene, I would, know that something was wrong. There's no... Principal Dimly is way too nonchalant about some of the crazy things that Kenan's mom is saying.
Yes, that's very... Maybe she's giving her the benefit of the doubt, but she's just very like, okay.
But Kenan corrects her name. He says, "Your name is Cheryl," and she's like, "What did she say?"
She says, "I'm sterile." I was cracking up. That might be one of my favorite jokes so far.
I noticed that Kel kind of fades to the background of this episode. She kind of takes that role of comically missing the points and being the not brains of the operation.
Absolutely, yeah. So Principal Dimly, even though she still doesn't really know her name, she offers them, welcomes them into her office, and Kenan reminds Martha to say nothing at all.
Yep. And so yeah, I also want to say that the name Principal Dimly, that's perfect for like a grade or high school like teacher. It's something that for some reason they went into this profession and have a name that's easily like mockable.
Exactly.
It happens all the time for some reason.
Yeah, you're very right about that. I am not going to give any examples.
I thought this was a really great transition here because Kenan does like the zip the lips symbol to her. She does the same, and then you see like this graphic of the zipper like being zipped. Mm-hmm. And they clearly got a bigger budget for these like transitions.
Yeah, we got really good clip art here.
Yeah, it looks really neat.
So, anyways, they enter. Kel enters as well and closes the door. And Principal Dimly's kind of like, sorry, like, Kel, this is a meeting between myself and the Rockmores. And Kel's like, oh, it's okay, I don't mind. Do your thing.
Yeah, they quickly allow Kel's presence. But yes, no, Principal Dimly says, I've always wanted to meet Kenan's parents. Oh, are they coming too? Martha says.
They're just fumbling everywhere. Yeah. So then Kenan's just like reminding her to not say anything from here on out.
Principal Dimly asks her a question specifically, though.
Yeah, she asks, Mrs. Rockmore, how did you and your husband meet? And she just sits there staring her dead in the eye because Kenan told her not to say anything.
I want to say, I think they got a good actress for this role.
I think so. You're right.
Yeah, she does it very well.
She's having a lot of fun with it.
But yeah, she said, you didn't tell me what to speak, but the story that she makes up is that Kel introduced them.
Which does not make sense.
I don't know about you, but like even rewatching this episode, like every time she says something and like the guys is gonna be blown off, I just feel a full body like cringe.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty cringe-worthy episode for sure.
Yeah, with Kenan's all his explanations and stuff like that, but he has an explanation. She meant college, right?
College, yeah. And then Mr. Rockmore says, "Yes, of course." And he's basically just like, "You just don't get it, do you? What are you doing?"
Yeah, I like their dynamic too. That he's a trained actor and she's just like every sentence she says is wrong.
Yes. And so Principal Dimly, she's like, well, I actually came here to talk to you about your son. And then the actor, William Buckman III, stands up and says, Kenan, that's it. No TV for 1 month. In his, actor voice. And he's like, she didn't even say what happened yet.
And so the twist of the episode, Kenan didn't do anything wrong. She wanted to congratulate him on doing really well in his performance test.
Yeah, he's doing quite well in school, and this was my favorite moment of the episode. Kenan falls off of his chair in the most dramatic way imaginable.
Yeah, a huge pratfall. He explodes out of his chair.
He had an exploding sandwich in his back pocket.
Yeah, and just falls over on the ground.
I at this point I was sitting with my girlfriend's dog, and I yelped because it was so funny, and he started barking. He was so scared that something happened to me, but it was so funny. I was crying.
Yeah, it was. I want to say that it's a little understated because this couple kind of takes the spotlight, but Kenan does a really fun job this episode.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a really strong Kenan performance. And he's trying to hold the ship together too. Like it's clearly sinking. He's just trying to like pull everybody back on board. Throw out the life rafts.
The scene concludes with them like discussing colleges and stuff like that, which is it's good and it's wholesome. And then afterwards, trouble happens.
Yeah, so they exit the office, and then like Principal Dimbley says, "It was so nice to meet you." And then Martha says, "Why don't you come to our house for dinner?"
and Kenan very like really, really, really tries hard to send the message that that's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's like, oh, no, you shouldn't come because the exterminator is going to be there. I just remembered. And he's going to get rid of the catfish in the basement.
Yeah, Kel proposes catfish.
Yeah.
Kel does a really good job boosting like the conflict to the next level in this scene. Because as the scene goes on and Martha insists that she comes over, Kenan remembers that his parents are going to be there Saturday, and he recommends Saturday. To which Kel replies, "I prefer Sunday."
Yeah. What are you doing? And then, yeah, so long story short, Principal Dimbley accepts to come over for dinner on Saturday night.
Yep. As they leave, as Cal, Roger, and Principal Dimbley leave, Kenan pulls Martha aside. He says, "Hey, remember the thing about how you invented the principal over? Why?" his why of the episode.
Yeah. It was a fantastic why. Everybody needs to know their why, and I think Kenan knows his why. Anyways, we are in the Rockmore residence. It is Saturday night. Kenan is wearing his finest outfit, a triple XL polo with a quadruple XL denim overthrow with the sleeves
so,
cuffed.
like, baggy.
It's very, very large.
It makes him look larger than he is. I want that to be conveyed.
Yeah. He's also wearing pretty big jeans. Anyway, so the first arrival is William Buckman III playing Roger, and he's cool. He's gonna play the father, but he was 3 minutes late, which really worried Kenan.
Yes, because and he was worried for the right reason, because Principal Dimbley is right on his heels.
Yeah, so Principal Dimbley enters next, before Martha.
Yeah, so they have to come up with a quick excuse for Martha. They say that, Kenan's mom, she's out, like, doing stuff.
Yep. So they sit down, and they're gonna, I guess, pass the time, have some hors d'oeuvres, maybe.
Yes, they drink what I believe is, like, fruit punch.
They do. I think that comes in the next scene that we see them down there.
Correct. So we flip to what's happening upstairs, right?
Yes. So we see for the first time Kyra's room.
It is pink.
Very pink.
That's my one note.
Exactly what you would imagine it.
She's doing Kel's nails.
Yep. And Kel doesn't really like pink, but that's what Kyra's painting them.
What else does she do?
She tells Kel how to dry his nails, so like flap his hands up and down, and then she gets a phone call. Jessica is on the other line, and Kyra's telling Jessica that she has Kel in her room.
Yes, to which she doesn't believe him, and then Kel has to talk on the phone and dismiss the fact that he is Kyra's boyfriend.
Yes. It's pretty funny. I mean, at least we know where Kel and Kyra are, and we know their dynamic is like Kel's like kind of like babysitting her, and she's trying to make a move.
Which is I like the way Kel interacts with Kyra, because even though he's clearly not interested in that way. She's very young, and it's like it's an older kid crush, but he was still very friendly with her and will play games with her and stuff.
Yeah, he's not like kicking her to the curb. He's being her friend.
So downstairs, yes, they have a plate of cocktail weenies and a big pitcher of Hawaiian punch.
Yes. I was wondering what they were going to have for dinner. And I don't know if I gave it away yet. That we don't find out. But
no, we don't.
We don't find out, and I am curious as to what the plan was. Like, were they going to have pizza?
Yeah, right.
But anyways, they're having these hors d'oeuvres, these drinks of Hawaiian punch, And Kenan's mom is still not there.
After some amount of time, they finally get a knock right at the door.
They get a knock on the door.
A doorbell, yes.
And,
Which, by the way, so the idea is that Kel's keeping Kyra, like, separate and away from all this. But that doorbell's ringing a couple times.
Yeah. So he's trying to keep Kyra upstairs so that, she doesn't find out what Kenan's up to, what he's scheming.
Martha finally arrives, and Kenan throws open the door.
And she walks in. She's wearing this, like, royal cloak. It's, like, purple with gold and black.
She's wearing a queen costume.
She looks like a queen.
Yeah, it's purple, and yeah, she enters into, like, the house in a regal fashion.
Yeah, and she comes over and sits on the couch.
Well, the first thing she says that she enters, I think, sums up her whole character.
Oh, yeah.
She says, "I'm sorry I'm late, but I couldn't find the house, Conan."
That's exactly.
So she for the record, has never gotten Kenan's name right. She keeps calling him, like, Kelvin.
Kelvin, Kevin, Conan. We forgot to mention that earlier, but yeah, so they're kind of like, the principal keeps like, wait, you don't know where your own house is? And then she gets cut off.
Later they do a good cover for her and say that, like a really good cover, very late in the episode, where they say she has a bad memory, which should have been like what they said, like, in the principal's office.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same exact thing. Yeah, so
she explains to Kenan that her outfit's because why is it?
She's wearing a maiden. She wants to dress as a maiden in distress. Is that right?
Yeah, she always wanted to portray a maiden in distress.
Okay, there you go.
And Kenan replies, "You're causing me distress."
Yep. So she like almost
She
floats over to the couch,
yeah, she lays out her arms,
which just have like these large sleeves. Like, she looks like a queen. And then
she says, "Oh, how I long for the sweet succulence goodness of a cocktail weenie."
I remember I didn't write that down because I thought you would have it.
and I love Kenan's angry reaction to her, like, putting up her feet and doing this arm thing. He's like, just
He's like, what are you doing?
He shows a lot of Roger in this episode. I just noticed.
Oh
when he's
yeah,
angry.
you're right. You're right about that. Yeah, just like nothing's going his way. He's uber frustrated. So Principal Dimly, sipping on her Hawaiian punch, turns around and notices a bunch of pictures on the table behind the couch, and she picks one up and she says, "Kenan, who are these people in the picture with you?"
Yes, and Kenan comes up with a brilliant response.
Strangers. Just strangers. And then he grabs the picture and puts it in his pants.
You see him turn around, it's like the whole, like, armoire, and just starts shoving pictures down.
Yep, pictures, picture frames, the whole deal.
He didn't, like, say aunt and uncle, or, like...
No, he never said anything. He said, strangers.
Family, friends, just... strangers.
Like, oh, my godparents.
Martha continues with her streak of just... Might I say, this is a lovely house?
Like, yes, it is, dear. You designed it.
Yeah, I was... William Buckman III is working with the best that he can.
Yeah, he's not doing that bad of a job, honestly.
Not at all.
So, anyways, things are kind of in disarray in the TV room, and we, zoom up to Kyra and Kel playing with dolls, and well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I love Kel's doll reactions. Again, he doesn't do much this episode, but what he has to work with, he has a blast.
Yeah, and that's the best part about Kel. It's whatever role he's thrown into, he's kind of just like, okay, let's make this a little bit more fun than they want me to.
Yeah, he does like an exorcist bit with them.
So So Kyra wants something to drink, and Cal's like, no, we can't go downstairs yet. I forget what reason he gives. And then Kyra is like, hey, there's orange soda downstairs.
And she convinces Kel to... She exploits his Achilles heel.
Who loves orange soda? I do. Ooh.
Yeah, we get a little truncated version of Kel's jingle just to remind everyone what he's all about.
Yep, they're always the writers here are bringing back the what hits. They're bringing back the.
Again, they clearly rewatched the first season. They know it. So this episode was written by Kevin and Heath.
Yep, our dream team.
Yep, dream team coming back to hit it out of the park.
Yep, exactly. So Kel goes downstairs and Kyra says, "Who loves Kel? I do, I do, I do, I do." Ooh.
Again, we're not really getting anywhere with that.
Never do, never will. But that's what we have to work with.
Yep. So again, Kel comes downstairs and has a very fun interaction with the principal. I thought.
I think so.
She's like, "Hi, Kel. Nice nails."
Oh yeah, his nails are pink.
Yeah, and Kel's like, "Yeah, they're Princess Pink." So
I'm looking at her here, and she looks like Hillary Clinton.
she's got a Hillary Clinton look.
Just she's wearing
for sure.
a red power suit instead of a blue one.
Kyra rushes downstairs because she's changed her order. She no longer wants orange soda, she wants lemonade. And she sees a bunch of strangers in the house.
Yep, and she's basically like, "Who are these people?" And then, Kenan covers her mouth up really quick.
Martha says, "Oh, who do we have here?"
"Oh, it's nice to meet you."
"Nice to meet you, dear." Just
floundering all over the place.
They go through the new divider into the kitchen, and Kenan hastily explains to Kyra what the situation is.
So Kyra says, "Oh, okay, I get it." So she goes over to William Buckman III again. And she's like, "Hi, Daddy. Can I have $10? And he says, "Not now, dear." She says, "But you promised me $10 yesterday, Daddy." And it's very obvious what she's doing. So
she gets $10 out of WB3.
You could say that.
Yeah. So then Martha asks, "Son, where's the bathroom?"
And then this is where they say, like, "Oh, she has a bad memory."
Well, that's Kenan's reasonable answer, but Kel also gives an answer.
He says, she never goes to the bathroom. She was born without a bladder."
So before Dimly can inquire further, the doorbell rings again.
Yep, Kyra's still there. Like, you don't know what she's gonna do next. We got Kel there, just kind of just making things worse. Martha is just destroying this moment for everybody.
Yeah.
William Buckman and Kenan are trying to hold it together. Principal Dimly is just sitting there.
So this is my favorite moment of the episode. Kenan stops over to the door, just knowing what's going to happen next. He opens up the door, and who is it?
It is Chris.
Immediately slams the door in his face.
So funny. He just and then Chris is like, "No." So he just opens the door, and he starts telling Kenan how concerned he is for him. It's like he's been having all these weird behaviors. Saying the bananas.
"I came here as your boss and as your friend. Yeah. I'm worried about you. I think I should speak to your parents." To which Kenan just is he's at the end of his rope. He's just like, "Fine, Chris. Here, talk to my parents."
And he goes, "None of these people are your parents, son."
Which might be just the way he delivers it.
Yeah.
So
he's like, "Oh no." You've gone so far off the deep end. So concerned.
Martha says, "I am Kelvin's mother." To which WB3, that's the final straw. He's had enough, and he's exploding. He's like, "How? It's so you get his name is Kenan."
He's like, I cannot handle such incompetent coworkers or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. She says, "Well, I don't see what's so great about your so-called acting."
Yeah.
That's the final straw.
That's the final straw.
Either she goes or I go.
And Kenan's like, "But Dad," or something along those lines.
Dimly has had enough. Miss Dimly, as she prefers to be called.
Yeah. Not Principal Dimly. That's too formal. Miss Dimly
and not
is much
a first
better.
name, Miss Dimly.
Miss Dimly is much better.
Yeah, she's like, "I think I should go." Kenan tries to escort her out, but then
The Rockmores enter the picture.
Martha and William say, "Where are the Rockmores?" when they ask who they are.
Yeah, and then
And they say,
"Where are the Rockmores?"
Dimly says,
I'm confused.
Kel says, I'm out of here. Heads for the door, and I don't know if you noticed this, Roger gives him like a headlock.
Yep, Rod. Yeah, he like clotheslines him.
Like to keep him in place. And Kenan says,
I'm in trouble.
and as it fades out, there's a really funny moment that it plays out on screen. Do you see that?
I didn't see it. What is it?
Kenan like hides behind the door,
Oh yeah.
and Roger like tries to like open it up.
Yep. Roger's trying to get him out from behind there. And that is the episode.
They come out back on stage and they recap, like, so Kenan and Kel come out on stage, followed by William and Martha. Again, they're on stage, and they were also still the characters from the show.
You know, I just have to talk about Kenan's shirt. Like it goes,
green polo?
It goes down to his knees almost.
Yeah, it's the same one they wore in like the in the meeting the parents scene.
Right.
And it's huge. It's enormous.
It's big. It's big. Anyways, yeah. So the Martha and William enter, and William says he wants his $10 back.
Kel, pay the man $10.
Kel reluctantly hands over his money.
And they get into a bit with Martha about how she did terrible and shouldn't get money. And Kenan will actually pay her $10 to not act anymore.
And then she says she can make as much money not acting as she does acting.
Yeah, Kel pays her as well. And Kel wants his $20 back, to which Kenan comes up with a new scheme.
He says, oh, I know a way to make a lot more than $20. Kel, why don't you get a waffle iron, an octopus, and meet me at the library?
So now that we're handling season 2, and this is probably going to be a regular episode occurrence, what? How are you going to get $20 with an octopus and a waffle iron?
I don't know. But
maybe it's like having the octopus make a waffle.
Why don't we? Okay, so I think it would be like you would try to trick the librarian by like putting his foot or her foot in a waffle iron, like Michael Scott on the George Foreman grill. Along those lines, and the octopus comes in the picture, and then they steal some library books. I don't know where this is going, Adam.
Yeah, there's no way you can make money at the library.
No, not really.
So, but yeah, that's the episode.
Nobody's buying books anymore. But yeah, that is the episode. Very fun, I would say.
Absolutely. A real good return to form here. I would like to ask you, whose fault do you think this episode is? Kenan's or Kel's?
So, it's Kenan's fault because Kel has an idea, but it is Kenan's responsibility to like do the right thing and not listen to that idea.
Also, for Kenan's seen that Kel doesn't have all like the tools in his toolbox.
Right.
You know, he's got a couple screws loose, so it's weird for him to immediately take one of his suggestions at face value and do it.
Yeah, and he calls him a genius. It's a lack of judgment on Kenan's part.
It's real short-sighted too. Like he's like, "Oh yeah, you can be my parents, but like what if the principal wants to meet your parents again anytime ever?"
Ever. Graduation maybe.
Yeah, graduation, the two of them are in a scene together.
Right.
So it's so Kenan's fault makes sense to me. There's a couple more things I'd make note of before we move on. Kel has 2 new fears established this episode.
Yeah, monkeys and crime.
Again, monkeys make a lot more sense than crime. Or rather, everyone's afraid of crime. That's not special.
Everyone's afraid of crime. Everybody should be afraid of monkeys.
Although, is Kel afraid of crime after the Diamonds episode?
Maybe he is afraid of crime because of the Diamonds episode.
Yeah, being with the bandit in that dark room in the vault.
I would be afraid of crime. I just would like to make note that and this did not make it into the intro, but we should all be terrified of monkeys because they're entering the Stone Age. They've started to use tools, And it's only a matter of time before they get a hold of guns and learn how to use them.
They're waging wars in certain places.
Yeah. There's wars, monkey wars all over the place. It's a
sad time.
Quite scary, honestly.
The other thing I want to say was that, in addition to Kenan had a why this episode and Rigby's, Kenan is like $76. I'm sorry, $71 out of pocket on this one. Yeah, and dealt $12 worth of bananas to Rigby's.
Wow. Yeah, because he paid for the actors. Martha should not have been paid.
No.
Great actress though. Really, she did a great job of portraying that character.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's get to our final ratings here. What are your final thoughts on the episode, and how many bottles of orange soda would you give it out of 10?
I thought this was a great start to season 2. Better start than season 1. We can really see the formula working its magic here. You know, there's a problem, a predicament, a scenario that's set up by like the Rockmore parents, and then something comes up, and it's made worse by Kel, and Kenan kind of just like goes along with it, trying to pull a fast one. And the episode escalates from there. So I thought it was really, really good. Overall, I had some really good laughs, but I would give it a 7 because I think there's more to come in this season. But it was still a really solid episode.
Yeah. So I thought this episode was missing a little bit of the Kel magic.
I think so.
Again, he really sits in the background, and this new character Martha really takes the torch from him for a bit to be the stupid one. And there's a lot of suspending of disbelief that has to go on to just make this episode continue to work. That said, the escalation's great. The intro's great. There's a lot of good jokes from everyone. I thought Chris did a good job, and his return later is exceptional.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 10.
Very nice. I would agree with that 8.
Yeah. IMDb actually has a pretty high ranking episode.
Is that right?
They give it an 8.1.
Okay.
But it's in the top 10, number 8.
Oh, is it? Oh no, I'm gonna have to reevaluate that later on.
Well, I know that all the season premieres, including like the pilot episode, which should not be 6 out of like number 6 on the list of Kenan and Kel episodes.
You're right.
Always are like top rated.
You're right. We're real critics here, so we don't have to listen to them because most everybody watches those first episodes of the season.
I believe it's in the top third of the series.
For sure. It was a good episode.
It's very promising for the rest of season 2. Do you know what the next episode of season 2 is going to be?
The next episode of season 2 is Clowning Around.
Yep. A clown gets involved in Kenan and Kel's lives, and more conflict occurs. The episodes on Amazon are all out of whack. They're not in order. Oh.
Clowning Around is number 5, and Turkey Day is number 2. So...
Well, we'll correct that as we continue on.
Yes, we will.
Okay, join us next time for some more as we clown around with Kenan and Kel and Adam and Aaron.
Oh, here it goes, Fantas. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. If you want to stay in touch, send us an email at KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a voice message at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. Our social media accounts are all at KenanKelPodcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks, everybody.